All right, hey
Hey,
everyone.
everybody.
Good to see you guys. It's been a while. We're doing this from home kind of thing instead of in person, and we're going to give our review of The Mandalorian Chapter 12, directed by Carl Weathers.
Yeah,
So let's
we
just
are.
get right into it.
Yeah, we're fresh off of watching it. So we start out with first off, having the child fix the Razor Crest from the end was
That
so
was
good.
so funny.
Oh
I love it.
man.
This one goes there. That one
Yeah.
goes there.
It
It was
was a
such a
nice
perfect
little
moment.
it was a nice
Like
little
mirror.
nod to that, but also from a parenting perspective.
Yeah.
And then just the smoke
Mando.
coming out, well, it was worth a shot. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. I've seen people call him the man dad
Yeah.
DeLorean, and that's it. Yeah, he's definitely learning to be a dad.
Oh,
But yeah,
it's
that
so
was
funny.
great.
And the great little bit, it was kind of a someone had made a mention of the music reminding them of the scene in Jaws where he's sitting at the table with his son and they're mimicking each other. In one of the previous episodes, the music with the
Hmm.
child, the scene where they're both sipping from their cups and he's pulling his mask back and sipping, it was making me think of that scene in Jaws um, where they're at the dinner table together. That was a nice little moment and
That's cool. Yeah,
interesting too that he won't remove his helmet even in front of the child.
yeah. Like he left just to get a little sip of
Yeah,
that
just enough
drink.
to
Yeah,
take a drink.
yeah,
But I found that interesting that just with the two of them and that
yeah.
they're what did the armorer say? They're a clan of two or something like that.
I think that's yeah. I think that's the wording she used. They're a
It's
clan of two.
interesting that there's still, that he won't show his face to the kid.
Yeah. Well, it shows what we learned in the previous episodes about that part of the watch is
Hmm.
a cult, basically.
Hmm.
And so it's deeply ingrained in him since he was a child,
Hmm.
and that's all he knows. So whether or not it's real, true, right, or the right Mandalorian way or not, doesn't matter. It
It's his
is
way.
to him, right?
Which makes me wonder now that and this kind of goes back to the episode before, but it makes me wonder, is that going to last for him? Is
I think,
he going
yeah,
to, since he's met up with Bo Katan, like, was that a one time thing and we're not going to see her again?
right.
Or is this starting him on a path to realize that what he thought the history of Mandalore and the Mandalorian way and all of that is, like, is that going to change for him over time?
Yeah.
But and I think if it does, part of that is probably going to be taking care of the child because like,
Hmm.
if it came down to the way or the kid, he would choose the kid.
Yeah.
If something were to happen, like he would,
Yeah. I think you're right.
yeah. So after that, we get the cool fight scene with the Navarro Marshal kicking
That
butt,
was really cool. Yeah.
kicking names and taking butt. The little meerkat thing that was great.
The
Uh,
little what?
it was
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
that
meerkat
what
looking
yeah, it did look like a
whatever the
meerkat
animal
or
was.
yeah, that was
That
funny.
was fun. That was great. Like
Yeah,
using the body as a shield, like just battering ram running through. That was really cool.
yeah, that was
Um,
nice.
let's see. After that, when he, I love every time he's just walking around like cool Mandalorian armor, suited up, and he's just got the child in his arms. Like, this is my son. Nobody mess with me.
Yeah, this is the way. The walrusman, that's where we are, walrusman. I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah, that
seriously.
was great.
That was really cool. Yeah, I love how this show is giving us, um, old characters, but in a new way.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
happy
and
with
it feels it. This is a weird thing to say because it's all Star Wars, but like something that the Mandalorian has done really well is continue the world of A New Hope in a way
it.
that none of the other movies did. Because uh, something that George has said before is like he wanted to always do something different and like new planets and new kinds of aliens and kind of change it up, and like the way the story went with the original trilogy and then the prequels and everything. I don't know, the aesthetic of this just feels like it's an attachment to A New Hope. The way that everything looks straight out of A New Hope in a way that Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi looked different. Like they had their own kind of looks and feels to them. Everything in The Mandalorian just feels like a continuation of A New Hope to me. I don't know if
Yeah,
that makes
and
sense, but that's how I
no,
feel.
it does, and I think that's how everyone feels when we all watch it because we can tell they're leaning into that, and we want that. That's what
Mhm.
we're enjoying about it, is that it reminds us of A New Hope in that first time you ever saw it and the first moment you realized, I love this. This is
Mhm.
cool. And even though it was 70s, this captures that feeling of we were in the 70s when we watched it, or it was filmed in the 70s, but it had a different feel. It didn't feel like Earth. It felt like
Mhm.
Tatooine, and it felt like Yavin, and it felt like all the places they went, and it didn't feel dated. And that's what I like about this. It feels like old Star Wars, but it doesn't feel dated.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me because I feel the same way about it. I don't know if we're making
Yeah.
sense to anybody else, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense to me. Love that they brought back. I can't think of his name. But the
Mithril.
yeah, Mithril. Not to be confused with Mithril. That's different. Yeah, I love that they brought him back. His kind of. I remember in the first episode, he almost stood out a little too much to me. Like he didn't feel like a Star Wars character, but now he does. He just feels
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's his personality.
Yeah.
I like how skittish he is about everything. Also, having to leave the child at his first day of school.
Oh my
was
gosh, that was
so
great. What a great moment. Yeah.
like they've done such a great job of really awesome action set pieces and world building and mystery, and then also this is just a guy learning how to be a dad and how difficult it
Yeah.
can be to drop your kid off at
Yeah.
school for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. Stealing the
Yeah.
cookies, that was
Yeah. That was really funny.
that
Yeah,
was
and
fun.
Mando is struggling with the whole wherever I go, he goes, but
Mhm.
now I have to leave him somewhere and I have to trust someone with him.
Right,
But
which is
yeah,
part of parenting.
yeah, it's good
Yeah.
stuff.
That's fun. So they've got this Imperial outpost to take out, and it would be the last one on the planet, so they could clear it out. Great shots of them in the land speeder. Felt really, again, it
Mhm.
feels like A New Hope.
Yeah.
All the
I feel
stuff at
like
the
Carl Weathers got a great opportunity to
to step back to
mirror,
the 70s.
yeah, and to
Yeah.
step back and not copy in a bad way, but enhance and build on what George Lucas did in that first film. I feel like Carl Weathers did a great job in capturing
Hmm.
certain iconic shots and scenes, like the land speeder
Hmm.
coming across. Of course, in New Hope, it was going from left to right.
Left to
He
right,
got
this
to
is
do
right to
right to
left,
left. Yeah, he
which
did a great job of mirroring things.
subtle filmmaking technique. Left to right is moving forward, right to left is going back. They're going back because the
That's
empire
true.
should be in the past, but they're having to go at that was just a nice little
Nice call out.
difference in the visual storytelling.
Yeah,
um love the arguing at the base of the thing, and then he just jetpacks up and chucks the stormtrooper
yeah,
down.
that
That
was
was
great.
awesome. uh,
In perfect Mando style.
oh yeah, it was funny when they saw um the shuttle that they end up stealing. My immediate thought was, I can't think of, it's one of the Disney Junior shows. It's a Mickey Mouse show, but there's a running gag from it that anytime they find something in the show, Mickey will go, "That's a neat trick or a fun tool or a secret tool that we'll use. It'll come in handy later." And when they saw the little shuttle, I was like, "That's going to be useful."
Yeah.
That's their little Mickey Mouse nod. And as soon as they got trapped, I was like, "I know how they're getting out of here."
Yeah.
Um, really cool to see that stuff. It also gave me some kind of like the break-in felt a little like the Clone Wars when they're breaking
Mhm.
into the prison. Um, Clone Wars and Rebels, it kind of had that
Yeah,
vibe
because yeah,
to
the
with
Clone Wars, they were breaking into the Jedi prison. What was it called?
I can't
Not
think of
was
the
it
name of it.
Spire or
The Citadel.
uh, Citadel?
Citadel.
Yes. So
Yeah,
yeah, it did kind of
yeah,
have that feel, and I liked that.
yeah. I liked that kind of feeling to it, especially with like the lava and everything. Um, really appreciated uh, the first official acknowledgement that they don't use guardrails in the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, when
He
Mithril
said it,
had
and
to
I was
go
like,
out there.
"Thank you." He finally was like, "Yo, we
Yeah,
gotta.
yeah,
Somebody really needs to
yeah,
redesign this galaxy. There's some health and safety issues that we should address."
that's
Um, It was like cowardly Obi-Wan turning off the tractor beam, that
Yeah,
whole
that's right.
sequence.
Yeah.
And then we get the big reveal. First off, they find out that Gideon is back,
Hmm. Well,
which
when they
we
first
know,
broke
but they
into
don't.
that little right, when they broke into that room, and those guys were in a different uniform, I thought, well, those aren't Imperial soldiers, and I knew that the uniform was familiar. I just couldn't remember
Yeah, I
until
didn't
they
either.
activated the hollow of that doctor. What's his
Mhm.
face? And I was like, oh yeah. So that was really cool. And then what was that in the tanks and the? I mean, was
I have a
life
theory.
forms?
I have a
I
theory,
could
but
tell it
let's
was life forms, duh,
yeah.
but I couldn't tell if it was humanoid or humans or aliens.
Yeah, I've got a theory. Let's finish the episode, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit with my
All right.
theory. Some of the best action set pieces that we've had so far in the show was the whole breakout from the shooting through the corridors and then jumping the freaking thing off the platform and the speeder bike chase. Like, so much happened in a short amount of time. I want to go back and watch it all because that was just such
Yeah,
a good
that was
fight
good.
with the speeder bikes. And oh my gosh, it reminded me a little of The Last Crusade when they're in the canyon and the guy on the speeder bike
Yeah.
jumps to the
Yeah. Hmm.
kind of like Indy jumping to the tank, just
Hmm.
this time the Nazis are on the outside. um
That was, yeah, that's a good call out.
yeah, that
And that
was
was
a
fun. It was a fun sequence.
yeah, it was.
And even there was a moment where it reminded me of A New Hope because it was they were in the trench and the TIE fighters are coming down into the trench.
Yeah,
And I thought that's a great little nod to flying down into the trench. The TIE
yeah.
fighters were shooting. I mean, something else I noticed, and I noticed it in a previous episode that we didn't mention and talk about, but Mark Newbold on Twitter called out from a previous episode, I think maybe the last one in chapter 11, that he thought he heard stormtroopers saying things that were actual dialogue lines
Yes, and I caught that in
from A
this
New
one.
Hope. So yeah, and one of them was over there, blast them. That was like from the previous
Mhm.
episode, and I had heard that too. And then in this one, they were saying something, and when they got there and they were sneaking around, and a stormtrooper said, "Okay, we'll check it out," and that
Yes,
was like
yeah.
perfectly. And David W. Collins actually commented on Mark's tweet and said, "Yes, we did intentionally take some dialogue and try to match it." And make it sound as close to the stormtroopers from A New Hope, so which is really cool, and it works, and it gives you that nostalgic feeling, and also that's what a stormtrooper says. That's
Yeah,
just fine,
that's what it would sound like if a stormtrooper was walking
exactly.
past. Yeah,
It
I
would
loved
say,
that.
"Over there, blast them," or
Right,
"Okay, well, check it out." It's just perfect.
that was
And
so
also
cool.
the reason I remember or caught it is because when Silver Color Knob did the Stormtrooper song, we used those lines of dialogue from A New Hope in the track, when we play it, and so those were fresh in my mind. And so when I hear them, I'm like, "They're playing our song." Oh no, they're watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, that
that
was
was
a shameless plug for my side project.
good. Enjoyed seeing Mando try spinning because that's a good trick. But really,
Yeah,
because they took the time to show. I thought it was weird
yeah,
that they took the time to show the TIE fighter get a lock on the Razor Crest because they'd done a lot
right,
of
right.
close-ups on like the lock screens, and I was like, it's weird to show us this one. And then it hit me. He's locked on, but he can't get a clear shot because he's spinning. Because
Yeah,
they've made references to how you can confuse the targeting systems on a TIE fighter and other stuff. Like Finn makes a reference to that, and uh, it was a really neat little moment where he was locked on, but he couldn't get a shot because of the spin.
yeah,
So that was cool. Uh, really liked the Alderaan conversation
yeah.
between
That
the
was
rebel
really good.
pilot and Cara Dune. That was a really nice.
Mhm.
It's something. I mean, that's such a significant moment in the history of Star Wars, but
Mhm.
it's such an accepted thing for us. It's just like, yeah, they blow up Alderaan, and then we blow
Right,
up the
we don't think
Star.
about it,
But
and
like
so they're
entire
making us think about
civilization.
it, and
Yeah.
right, and they're giving it heart. The
Hmm.
show has heart in certain places, but they need to, as I've said, lean in. They need to lean into some other things, and one is that Alderaan was devastation for the people who weren't on the planet at the time and survived. Yeah, the people were devastated that died and got blown
Yeah.
up, but they're like Leia was devastated watching it happen. And now
Mhm.
there are groups of people that are still out there that are from Alderaan, and we
Yeah.
need to
Well,
feel that as
and
an
that
audience.
people at this point, it'd be what, 10, 15 years later, that people it's had repercussions through the galaxy, like that Alderaan that's a sad thing and a scary thing that like
Right.
on any planet that could have been us,
Right.
but it was Alderaan. But I mean, that idea, they developed a weapon that could destroy any planet, like that could have been us.
Yeah. Now,
I really enjoyed that conversation. That was
do you
cool.
think the medallion that he laid down was just symbolic for her because he was honoring her, or do you think there was some? I mean, they didn't really give us any explanation. I was like, okay, is that a communicator? Is that so you can reach him if you want
I think
to?
it was symbolic. I think it was maybe something he had on him that I don't know. Maybe we find out more about it. I didn't put too much emphasis on it.
Okay.
I just thought it was symbolic.
Okay.
And then we wrapped up with Moff Gideon in a smoky chamber full of giant stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, that was very reminiscent of either Death Troopers or Darth Vader.
It had like Vader vibes, but it looked like Death Troopers.
Yeah.
So here's
now
my
let's go back to the scientific.
Let's go back to the science stuff. This has been my theory pretty much the whole show. Like since we really found out what the doctor wanted the child for his DNA,
Right.
I think that this is all connected in the long run, not immediately, but I think this is all connected to bringing Palpatine back. That they're doing genetic experimentation. He mentioned M count, so midichlorians, that they need the midichlorian count to help with whatever genetic experimentation they're doing. Maybe they're starting with like trying to build a clone army because Kylo Ren makes a reference to we should have done a clone army for the First Order, because all of this is the seeds of the First Order. Like something that we as the audience have the benefit of is we know the Empire, the stragglers of the Empire are going to survive and create the First Order, which was another neat thing that the Rebel pilot said, that these aren't isolated incidents. These are popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
And
well, part of me wonders too if they're different factions, because part of what created the First Order was they went out into the unknown regions of space and other outside mediums and books and stuff that you can read, and they went away from the remnants of the Empire that were the stragglers like Moff Gideon. What if they're separate factions? What if Moff Gideon either doesn't know or doesn't care about those that are out there in the unknown regions of space?
But then General, Pride in Rise of Skywalker says that he served Palpatine in the Old Wars. So we know that there's some connections that come together. And I mean, the Hux family were Imperial, right?
They were, but they're the ones that, I mean, Hux's father went to the unknown regions to help build the First Order, to help train First Order soldiers.
Right. So this is all, I mean, this is all in the Outer Rim.
You're right. There's still some,
It's not every stormtrooper and every Imperial that we're seeing here is part of the First Order, but these seeds of what this is going to become, we know where this is going to go in one way or another.
The scientist guy was saying he needed the blood, and he needed more blood from the donor, which is the child. So they're trying transfusions to see if they can transfuse his midichlorian count into these bodies in the tanks. So are they trying to make super soldiers with the armor that also have force powers too? That's kind of what it seems like. Their own.
That's kind of like Legends Vader-ish a little. Vader did that in The Force Unleashed. In the games that are now considered Legends. He had his apprentice, and then in the second one he tried to clone him, and the cloning didn't work because cloning high midichlorian counts causes complications. But that was something in Legends. The only other thought that I have regarding this genetic experimentation that they're doing is the last time we saw a big body in a big vat in canon was Snoke.
That's true.
Could be connected to that too. Any of that, the genetic experimentation and cloning and all of that. Like, I think in the long run, I don't think like Palpatine exists in Rise of Skywalker because of the child, but I think that maybe this is all a precursor to how they pull that off, like how they bring him back. Dark
science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew.
Because that's what we've been given, and that's plenty of room for me. That's plenty of explanation. I didn't get upset that there wasn't more explanation than that, but that also leaves room for that to be fleshed out over the long term. And I feel like a long form series, like a TV show, like The Mandalorian, would be a cool way to slowly insert seeds of like, hey, this is how they did that. It just took them another 30 years.
Yeah, right. I think you're spot on with the seeds. This is what starts that part of what we saw. Yeah, the First Order has its own thing going, but also the seeds of because Exegol and the what were they called, the
acolytes.
Cult, the acolytes and the cult there that was on Exegol was separate from the First Order. So that was Palpatine's final order. The First Order was something else that he was using Snoke to build. So.
Which goes back to what you just said about factions. They're not all together, and that's part of the problem, and ultimately part of the great cool moment with the there's more of us and everything, because they're divided, and what you know, what wins in the end is being united with each other for the common good.
And we could just go off on our Rise of Skywalker conversation and get lost, so let's not, but we could.
So anyway, I had a great time. I can't wait for the next episode. I still don't think we're gonna we might see Ahsoka.
I really think
don't
if
think
we do, it'll be the last.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the very end of the finale. I'll be surprised. I will be happily surprised if I'm wrong, but I don't think
I had that conversation with maybe Mandalorian Mark on Twitter that he asked when people thought she would show up, and I said, you know, it's possible she could show up in the final episode, and maybe have dialogue and maybe be important, or in the Force Awakens style. It's that moment where we saw Luke and he didn't even have a line, where he finds her, Mando finds her.
Honestly what I expect.
And he's like, I finally found you, you know, and that's it. She doesn't even have a line. But maybe she will. I hope she does. I hope we actually get.
If she's got a huge part in the rest of the series, or in the rest of the season, even the series, I would be very, very surprised. I would be perfectly happy with it, but that's my expectation, is a Luke at the end of the Force Awakens style reveal for Ahsoka. So I can't wait for next Friday.
I know, this was a fun episode. Let's not forget the cookie scene when he used the Force, and then at the end when he puts him back up. And I know you know what that's like with your little baby right now. He's 8 months old, and he's doing all that kind of stuff.
I feel like everybody that's got a kid right now is like, oh, the child reminds me of my kid. But I'm so serious. Like, my son's personality it's just, they've got the same personality. The way he'll just look and go, like, not even make a sound, just and then the reaching for the food, and the cool Mandalorian with his cool Mandalorian armor and suit and everything, just taking his cape and like rubbing the spit. I've got some cleanup on the inside.
Clean up on aisle with the Razor Crest.
That was so really good.
Fun. Yeah, and I love that kind of stuff. They need to give us the awesome action sequences, and they need to give us all that fun, the blasters and all the lore behind what are they doing. But they also need to give us Man Daddy just being the daddy, you know, and Baby Yoda just being Baby Yoda, the child, the kid. All right, we haven't talked about this yet, but what are the chances we learn the child's name before the end of the season? Either learn it or Mando gives it to him, gives him a name.
He might get a name. He might get a name, but I don't think we learn like an origin name. I don't think that'll happen.
Theory. If they do meet Ahsoka in the end, what if she knows about the child? Because the child was taken from somewhere. The child was kidnapped, and we never got the child's backstory as to why he was on Kuil's planet, where Kuil was. I can't remember the name of it, but why was he there to begin with?
True.
So,
and I mean, he's been around for 50 years, so there's that too.
Yeah.
So we'll find out, maybe.
Well, this was a lot of fun. We hope you guys enjoyed listening to us give our little bit of a review of Chapter 12, The Siege, directed by Carl Weathers. And we had a blast watching it. And we're looking forward to Chapter 13, which is my favorite lucky number. So can't wait till next Friday. And we will put spoiler alerts in the description, but we're waiting to release this. This will be released the Monday after. So you guys hopefully have already all watched it. We should have said this at the beginning. But
you should put that at the start.
If you're watching this,
by the way, we were going to do spoilers the whole time.
The whole time. So spoiler alert at the end. So I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys for joining us. Awkward wave. Let me go off. Click end the broadcast. Bye, guys.